Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. So look, somebody got to help me understand when it comes to Showtime and how they're kind of painting a narrative that, Terrence Crawford. Now, it's the way Espinoza said it. He didn't really divulge too much information. But he kind of left the impression that Terrence Crawford may have tried to draw down Spence to 147 for the rematch, but that Espinoza and Showtime and the execs aren't really cool with that, especially seeing that Crawford is trying to chase Canelo up at 168. Now, for me, when I hear Espinoza talk about, hey, you want to fight a guy at a certain weight, but then you want to go up, 3 weight classes to fight somebody else. Why not just make a fight at a weight to where the opponent's more comfortable? Now, what I'm going to tell you is I can't, even when it first came out, right? Rumors on Twitter, which that's why for me, it's like from where did from where did Stephen Espinoza get his information? From where did it originate? Because I'm going to tell you this. Ever since Terrence Crawford has become a professional fighter, he's never really ducked anyone, and I can't see him deciding to force a fight at a weight to where they're going to continue to be excuses, especially with everything that he's gone through already. And also just knowing that how appreciative he was for Earl Spence to give him the opportunity to fight for undisputed at 147. Now what I'll say is, my understanding is for Crawford to fight Spence in the rematch, it seems to be that rematch could take place at 147 or 154, but it seems like it's for Crawford and Spence to really have that conversation. Now this is the piece that's frustrating, because I can't see Crawford just drawing the line in the sand and saying, the rematch is going to be at 147, and then I'm going to go up to 168 and chase Canelo. That doesn't make sense. Now, what I can't see happening is, because obviously, see, Stephen Espinoza must be privy to some things that we're not, because he's not going to go off Twitter. And I know even I've gone on Twitter sometimes and I'll find some things people say and I'm like, hey, this is interesting. There's a lot of people who believe what this bozo is saying. And then I'll make a video about it and tell you that, hey, let's just have a conversation, take it with a grain of salt. But for Espinoza, I know he's not going off of crap off of Twitter, which again is the most toxic place on social media. He's not getting his information from Twitter, but for him to come out and just mention something about the rematch between Spence and Crawford at 147 and how it's not really cool for someone to go up to 168 after, that makes me feel like there was something that came across him from a reliable source that left the impression on him like, hey, Crawford may really not budge on this weight for the rematch. And I'm going to tell you this, the only way I can see that happening, right, where Crawford's like not rematch at 147, is if you have these damn sanctioning bodies try to do him like they did Jermell Charlo. Okay, Jermell, you're undisputed at 154. You want to go fight Canelo. Okay, but hey, we're going to take this WBO strap off you, so you're no longer undisputed at 154. And that forces a fighter to say, hell, I want to stay undisputed, or I'm going to go chase this other fight. And if that happened, maybe Crawford said, well, hold on. I don't want to give up my strap. So, hey, hell, Spence, we just got to fight at 147 because they're not going to strip me of my damn, one of my titles, and now I'm no longer undisputed. But that's the only way I can see where he was probably like, well, hold on a second. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But I just can't see him being okay with going forward fighting Earl Spence at 147 again. Just knowing how hard it is for Spence to get down to that weight. And it's also hard for Terence Crawford. But, that doesn't make sense at all. But at the end of the day, I mean, why would Showtime kind of create that kind of narrative? Like, where is this coming from? Don't get me wrong, I create my little content on here, and I give you guys a whole lot of facts, and I give you guys a whole lot of, conversation. And with that conversation is we may throw something out there that is like, okay, this probably won't happen, but hey, it's a good conversation. So I'll throw things out there and we'll talk about it. But I would have never thought to this whole thing about the whole Crawford fight at 147, and now he's going to go to 168, and he wants to have the upper hand against Spence. He already has the upper hand against Spence, and whatever weight they fight at, it's not going to matter. He said that majority of people, boxing fans, feel that. Bomac feels that. So I couldn't imagine them knowing they have the advantage, no matter the weight, and still try to, for them to kill themselves as well to fight at 147. Now, the only way, another possibility could be that, but I just don't see it. If there was a huge fight, undisputed, for him to defend his undisputed distinction at 147, I mean, I'm talking about a big money fight. I ain't talking about boot sinners, right? So let me word it correctly. Like a big money fight at 147. Outside of the rematch with Earl Spence. I mean, there's no big money fight at 147. Keith Thurman, maybe. But the big money would be at 154. So I don't see why Crawford want to hold on to them belts anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, what was it? Just go on to 154 and start to put in work there. Shit. Stars line up correctly, he'll get through the Spence fight. He could find himself fighting for a third undisputed distinction next year sometime. You know what I mean? So it's just odd to me, and the fact that we're here in October and Espinoza is still kind of talking about that. I've heard him say it before. But to hear him say it again, it makes me wonder, like, what conversations are going on behind the scenes? Because for Terence Crawford, look, I've thrown out so many different videos where we're just having conversations, and kind of having fun with, the whole range of possibilities of what Crawford can do, maybe should do, hey, maybe he shouldn't do. We've just really had a really open and kind of just a free conversation. But right now, it's time to kind of make some refinements and kind of mold this conversation to more factual than just, take it with a grain of salt. Now, when we start to do that, the reality for Terence Crawford, in my opinion, is for him to go to 154 sooner than later. Because he has mandatories, man, and he's going to have to deal with Boots and some other guys, but it doesn't sound like he really has an interest in him. He's looking for big money fights. So I can't see Crawford after the Spence fight hanging around at 147. I think he may voluntarily, give up those belts anyway and just go to 154. But he may try to hold on to at least that WBO strap, because the WBO, those guys, they'll strip you. That WBA will strip you too. They don't care. They're gonna take their hardware off you. That damn Suleiman a little bit different. Suleiman, man, he got the damn secret society connection. Suleiman got a way that he works with his champions and his mandatories. Suleiman, as long as he's getting some money, Suleiman doesn't care. But coming back full circle, when we talk about things that are a bit more realistic, probably for Crawford to fight Spence and bubble up to 154 and, maybe have hope to go straight into a mandatory shot with whoever has a WBO strap. Because if Crawford gives up his titles at 147, well, then now he loses his super champion status and he doesn't have that flexibility. So I know for a fact that could be something that is weighing on his mind, and that could be something that's causing delayed the fight from happening in December. because now they got to try to figure things out. But at the end of the day, money's the root of all evil, but money fixes a lot of things. I'm very interested to know what direction this rematch between Spence and Crawford goes. I'm even more interested to see which sanction body is going to take belts off of Crawford if the fight doesn't happen at 147, and who they're going to give it to, and kind of force Crawford in a situation like Jermell Charlo, to where it's like, okay, well, you got to come back down to 147 if you want to, be undisputed again and fight for, the strap we took from you. Or he just bubbles up to 154 and then, gets in the pecking order and tries to find his way. But I don't know. I just think it's a little unfair for Espinoza. He came out and said a whole lot of stuff in a recent video. Talked a little bit about Paramount, Showtime going out of business. Talked about Bellator, how Bellator, the decision was made like a year ago to cut Bellator from Showtime. He talked about a couple of different things without getting too specific. But for me, and just looking at how all this is playing out, I think there's something brewing. Definitely with Showtime being in business, but also with Terrence Crawford, and I think in the direction they really want him to go. I personally don't think, and I should probably save this for another video, but I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of it now. I don't think Showtime, PBC, I don't think they have any love for Terrence Crawford. I think they know that he's a great fighter, they respect him as a fighter, but I don't think they have any love for him. I think that they have a love for Earl Spence. And I would not be surprised if maybe things don't, as far as what Terrence Crawford wants, and I think he has like one or two more fights. But nonetheless, I could see where maybe he wants to go back to being his own man and trying to float around and find the next biggest fight under the next promoter to make the biggest amount of money and not hang around necessarily over there with PBC, Al Heyman, and Showtime. But we just got to wait and see how things play out. But I do think Showtime painting the narrative that Bud may draw down Spence to 147, but chase Canelo up at 168, and how they're like, it's not really how, they didn't find that cool at all. And that just tells me there's some more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But with time, hopefully we'll get some answers. But that being said, in my opinion, Crawford just fight Spence in whatever weight they agree to, preferably 154. Drop the belts. Try to get the undisputed shot. If not, the whole thing is those belts, because with those belts he has so much flexibility. But if he drops those belts, he may not get his opportunity. Because now, who knows where they're going to rank him if he goes at 154. I think we all agree Crawford probably should be the man at 154, but he's still got to get up there and earn it. It's like jumping to 168. He's going to get in front of everybody. Morrell, Benavidez, everybody at 168 and go right into a fight with Canelo. And that's the other thing Espinoza was talking about. He was saying that, it just depends on where the demand is at. So Crawford going up to 168 is not something that the door hasn't closed in that conversation, but the concern is, hey, look at what happened to a 154-pounder. He struggled going up 2 weight divisions. What's going to happen when you got a guy coming up 3 weight divisions, although they recognize Crawford and Jermell Charlo are 2 different fighters. But that being said, you could tell Espinoza has a lot on his brain, a lot on his plate right now, and he did a pretty good job, ducking questions. But that being said, more to come on what's going on with Crawford and Spence. It's going to be 2024 for sure. Just not sure when. Hopefully it's early in the year, because damn, Crawford and Spence will be approaching like a year out the damn ring. Imagine that. Spence probably needs it. Crawford does not. Crawford could be back in the ring fighting right now. He didn't take any damage. But I think he's got to sit idle for almost a whole year waiting for a rematch. I mean, I'm sure that's not, those aren't the kind of cards that Terrence Crawford wanted to play, especially coming off that rematch with Earl Spence. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans all 7 continents. Y'all, I'm in the breeze.